Now, Donald Trump's promised crackdown on irregular migration has sparked controversy halfway around the world in India. Images of Indian deportees being flown in a US military aircraft with their hands and feet bound prompted opposition lawmakers to demand an explanation. The issue has erupted just as Prime Minister Narendra Modi prepares to meet with Trump to improve relations with the US.
Harvinder Singh is among dozens of Indian migrants who were deported from the US. They only found out they were being sent back once they were on the plane.
Our hands and feet were cuffed and we were told we were being taken to a detention center. But they brought us to the airport instead and put us on a plane and told us we were going back to India. It took 40 hours to reach Amritsar airport, where we were unshackled.
US Border Patrol video shows the migrants shackled during the journey. Their treatment has outraged Indian lawmakers who say it's a national embarrassment.
They have every legal right to deport people who are illegally in their country. And we, if they are proven to Indians, have an obligation to receive them. But to send them like this abruptly in a military aircraft and in handcuffs is an insult to India, it's an insult to the dignity of Indians, and we should certainly protest.
A US military aircraft brought more than 100 Indians back to their homeland under the Trump administration's crackdown.
Mr. Chairman.
The Indian government says it supports the fight against illegal migration, but insists deportees should be treated decently.
We are, of course, engaging the US government to ensure that the returning deportees are not mistreated in any manner during the flight. At the same time, the House will appreciate that our focus should be on strong crackdown on the illegal migration industry.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in Washington next week to discuss migration as well as trade ties.
And for more, I'm now joined by our correspondent, Adil Bhatt, who's in Delhi for us. Adil, just how much anger is there in India over these deportations?
Well, there is a lot of anger in different sections of India, and many critics have accused the Foreign Minister of India, S. Jaishankar, of downplaying the treatment given to the Indian nationals who were brought back from the US. They say that the Foreign Minister is trying to normalize what's essentially ill treatment of Indian citizens who were deported from the US. Also, Jaishankar had told the parliament that what happened with the Indian deportees was as per US procedures. And now some here, they're very angry with the visuals of deportees arriving handcuffed and shackled. The opposition political parties have also accused Modi government of not taking a hard stance on what many see here as an insult to all Indians. They're also asking very tough questions that if Indian government is aware of the conditions under which more Indian nationals will be brought back, and for this, they're pressuring the Modi government to take a stern stand with the US. And not only that, the people who have come back on these flights are telling their stories to the local media here. They said that they were shackled in 40 hours flight from the US to India, and now once they reached here, they were unshackled when they reached the city of Amritsar in the northern India. These stories and visuals have actually angered many people who see it as a inhuman treatment. Now, this issue has started another debate on the lack of employment opportunities in India. That's driving these people out of the India and take these risks for their livelihood and a better life.
And this comes as Prime Minister Narendra Modi is preparing to meet with US President Donald Trump next week. Will his visit be overshadowed by this?
Well, experts said that it's unlikely India will raise this issue at the meeting with the Trump. In fact, they would like to put this matter under the carpet as much as possible. Also, the manner in which Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar briefed the parliament here, referring to this as a normal US procedure, it tells us that they don't want to engage with this issue. They want although ensure that this question of illegal immigration doesn't become a hurdle for their bilateral ties. So also what we heard also over the last few months, the message from Modi government has been quite clear that they want to start on the right footing with the Trump's second term in office. In fact, when the Trump was sworn as president, and at that time, Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar was in US, he held bilateral meetings soon after that. And one of the key issues that the Trump administration raised with India was that of illegal immigration. And that time, India said that it will be willing to take any illegal nationals back. So what experts are telling, this meeting is most likely not to be overshadowed with the issue of illegal immigration, but rather they would focus and want to ensure that there are no backlash that affect their questions on trade relations, especially given the tariffs that have been announced on other countries.
All right, that's our Adil Bhatt in Delhi for us. Thank you, Adil.
For more on this, I'm now joined by DW correspondent Janelle Dumalaun in Washington. It's good to see you, Janelle. Have U.S. officials responded to these accusations that they're mistreating Indian deportees?
I mean, there's been no direct response from U.S. officials with regard to this mistreatment allegations in particular. There's really only been a statement from a U.S. embassy spokesperson in New Delhi. He said, it's the policy of the United States to faithfully execute the immigration laws against all inadmissible and removable aliens. So he said, that is his wording. Now, you've already said that this has caused considerable uproar and backlash in India, especially the use of restraints was shocking to many Indians. But we also had Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar saying that he was told by the U.S. that these restraints are routine, that women and children were not shackled, and that the deportees, were allowed to take off the shackles for bathroom breaks. But that directly contradicts the narrative that we heard from some of the deportees there, saying that they had to keep the shackles on for the whole time. So it's really also worth pointing out that before now, the use of military planes has not at all been routine in these deportation flights, but they've really become a big part of Trump's theater around his immigration crackdown. He wants to be showy with it. He wants that footage circulating on social media. As such, it's really not surprising that we are seeing citizens from other countries reacting to how their fellow citizens are being publicly humiliated. But we don't know whether India is going to respond to this in any kind of official capacity and what that then might do to India-US relations.
Okay, so it sounds like the outrage is part of the plan, and these deportations are happening ahead of Narendra Modi's visit to the U.S. next week. Could you tell us about Modi's relationship with Trump at the moment?
I think it's widely understood that these are two men who sort of understand each other, so to speak. They're both populists. They both feed off the energy of large crowds. They're both able to leverage their relationship with each other to gain more popularity at home. It's also said that Modi understands Trump's transactionist ways. In fact, there were even reports in the last weeks of Modi agreeing to take back 18,000 Indians living undocumentedly in the U.S. in order to protect legal pathways to immigration for Indians, like the H-1B visa program, something very important to Indians, especially those who want to work in the U.S. tech sector. So immigration definitely on the table for this visit, along, of course, with trade and tariffs, which is on the table in every bilateral relationship that the U.S. has.
Okay. Thank you so much. DW's Janelle Dumalaun in Washington.